Can you still feel the thrill of snapping those foamy headphones over your ears and hitting play for the very first time? In the 80s, the click of a cassette door shutting marked the start of a whole new way to experience music, one that felt almost rebellious. Picture yourself strolling down the sunlit sidewalk, the steady thump of your favorite track whispering secrets only you could hear, while the rest of the world melted away. The Walkman wasn't just a gadget, it was a revolution in a plastic shell, a private soundtrack for your daily victories and heartbreaks, tucked away in your jacket pocket or clipped to your belt. Suddenly music belonged to you, not just the living room, not just the family car, but you alone at any time of day. It was an era of mixtapes crafted with care, rewinding and fast-forwarding with a pencil, and sharing those orange-corded headphones with a friend. On the bus. Remember your favorite tape? Or the feeling of escaping into your own world, even in a crowd? Let's rewind to the era when the Walkman sparked a movement and explore how it redefined what it meant to truly listen. Before the Walkman's quiet revolution, music was a communal affair, something you shared in the open air of summertime picnics, or through the speaker-laden consoles that dominated living rooms from coast to coast. Radios glowed in kitchens, car rides pulsed with the tracking hiss of 8 tracks, and listening to your favorite album was an event, not an escape. For most Americans in the late 1970s, personal music was an impossible luxury, one that required you to sit still, at home, attached to clunky equipment. There was a certain charm to the ritual, lining up an album, gently lowering the needle, or snapping the chunky plastic of a cassette into place. Maybe you remember untangling a nest of headphone cords, only to realize they could barely reach the armchair, let alone let you wander far. Back then, headphones were more like earmuffs, heavy, with thick padding and coiled cables you were forever tripping over. Portable music meant dragging around a boombox, hoisted defiantly on a shoulder during block parties and beach trips. The boombox wasn't just loud, it was a statement, but it called attention to itself, broadcasting every beat to everyone within earshot. Personal space and private listening, those weren't even concepts. Music was social, public, and often out of your direct control, always competing with outside noise, sibling arguments, and household commotion. But change was on the horizon, carried on whispering radio signals from Japan, where electronics companies were in a race to shrink and transform the familiar technology. Enter Sony, a company that had already changed the world with the transistor radio and the Trinitron TV. In the late 1970s, co-founder Masaru Ibuka wanted to listen to opera on long flights. The existing cassette players, portable but heavy, with recording features and built-in speakers, just wouldn't do. What if you could make something truly light and simple, purpose-built for private listening? You might not believe this, but when the idea first came to Sony's engineers, many of them were skeptical. Who would really want a tape player that didn't record? Management almost killed the concept, worried it would flop. The device was originally called the Soundabout in the US, Stowaway in the UK, and Freestyle in Sweden, before Walkman prevailed. A name that seemed odd to English speakers at first, but would soon become iconic. There was even resistance from those who thought the device was too small, too limited, or, in a world of ever bigger speakers, just too quiet. But all it took was one stroll through a Tokyo park during a Walkman demonstration to silence the doubters. Teenagers, businessmen, and housewives alike slipped on the lightweight headphones and vanished into their own sonic world, all while walking, commuting, and even roller skating. Listeners marveled at hearing high-fidelity music through headphones as light as a feather. The sense of novelty was electric, tempting onlookers to try it for themselves. Word spread quickly, and soon the Walkman became a status symbol for young people and a subject of fascination for their parents. Did you know that during its launch in Japan in 1979, Sony staged actors as couples arguing over who would use the Walkman next, just to stir up even more interest on the streets? Clever strategies like that ensured it captured the collective imagination and curiosity. By the time the device made its American debut in June 1980, anticipation was running high. For only $200, still a considerable sum, anyone could slip into their own private concert. Anytime, anywhere. Looking back, it's astonishing to remember just how radical those first Walkmans seemed. They weren't much bigger than the average paperback novel and weighed surprisingly little thanks to the absence of bulky amplifiers or speakers. There was a catch, though. The earliest models had only one headphone jack. If you wanted to share your music, Sony even supplied a special headphone splitter, so two listeners could plug in at once. Have you ever sat shoulder to shoulder with a friend, pressing those spongy headphones to your ears, trading looks as you both savored a new track? The sense of intimacy was undeniable. Music felt closer, more personal, almost as if it was being sung just for you. It didn't take long for this simple shift in access to reshape how Americans thought about listening. Commutes, jogs, and even chores changed character. Suddenly the soundtrack was of your own choosing rather than whatever happened to be playing on the radio. This small, everyday miracle started to reshape the fabric of daily life, setting in motion a technological and cultural transformation nobody quite saw coming. But the early Walkman's magic wasn't just about portability, it was about freedom. The sense that for the first time you could move to your own rhythm wherever you chose to wander. That's something no radio dial or hi-fi system could offer. And yet, even as the Walkman started selling out in stores and shifting newspaper headlines, its true seismic impact had yet to be felt. How, you might wonder, would a plastic cassette player smaller than most hardback books go on to change music, fashion, even the way we interact? What did it mean for artists, record companies, and most of all for you and your personal soundtrack? Stay with us, because the Walkman story is far from over. The next chapter is about the ingenious technological leaps and little details that made the Walkman not just possible, but irresistible, a journey that takes us deep inside the design labs and living rooms of the 1980s. Are you ready to trace the wires behind the magic and discover what made the Walkman tick? As we look back on the impact of the Walkman throughout the 1980s, it's hard not to feel the weight of nostalgia for a time when music wasn't just played, but experienced on a powerfully personal level. We've revisited the days when music was first wrenched free from the limits of living rooms and back seats, transforming into a private escape tucked inside your jacket pocket, powered by a pair of trusty AA batteries and an ever-growing collection of mixtapes. The Walkman's arrival signaled a subtle but profound cultural shift, inviting us to become the curators of our own soundtracks. No longer did we have to rely on the randomness of the radio dial or the shared choices of family stereos. Suddenly, music could follow us anywhere, on the bus, to the park, or down quiet sidewalks beneath the glow of streetlights. The simple ritual of popping open that bright cassette door, pressing your favorite tape into place, and sliding those featherlight headphones into your ears became a kind of rite of passage, a small act of rebellion and self-discovery woven into the rhythm of everyday life. Along the way, we saw how the Walkman changed not only the way we listened, but the way we moved through the world. It became a symbol of individuality, personal style, and even a little bit of cool confidence. From joggers in neon shorts to office workers sneaking in a tune on lunch break, the Walkman colored daily routines with a spirit of independence and imagination. It even reshaped how we connected with one another, sharing a pair of headphones could cement a friendship or spark a romance, while a carefully crafted mixtape was an unspoken love letter in magnetic tape and marker ink. For a generation coming of age in the 1980s, the Walkman wasn't just technology, it was a cultural touchstone that redefined how we made, shared, and treasured our music memories. The Walkman story also reminds us of the fleeting nature of innovation. At the height of its influence, nobody could imagine a world where something so revolutionary would one day become a relic, replaced first by CDs and Discmans, then digital MP3 players, and eventually the invisible libraries we now carry in our phones. Yet looking back, there's something deeply special about the tactile, analog simplicity of those early devices. You could feel the gears whir as you fast-forwarded, hear the soft click as the tape ran out, and watch the batteries slowly lose their strength over dozens of replays. In an age of seamless streaming, we remember a time when music felt more precious, earned, collected, and cherished. What songs defined your world when you wore your first Walkman? Did you make a mixtape for someone special, or discover a new favorite band with the press of a play button? Maybe you still have an old cassette tucked away in a drawer, or catch yourself humming along to a melody that takes you straight back to those vibrant, hopeful years. If the Walkman sparked memories for you, I invite you to share your favorite cassette, mixtape story, or personal Walkman moment in the comments below. Let's celebrate the power of those small devices to create big memories and perhaps inspire others to dust off their own musical treasures. If you enjoyed this nostalgic trip through the 80s, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more heartfelt journeys into the music and moments that shaped us. You might even want to send this to a friend who once shared a headphone with you on a city bus or backyard porch. After all, the soundtrack of our youth still plays somewhere inside us, sometimes a little bit warped, maybe not as crisp as it once was, but always able to carry us back to a time when every song felt brand new. Until our next nostalgic adventure, keep pressing play on those treasured memories.